Let's kick it off. First, I'd like to thank the audience for joining our Data Dialogue series, Rise Faster, Speed Without Risk, Business Value Without the Wait. My name is Miranda Burke, the Senior Marketing Manager here at S&P and your host for today. The webcast is being recorded and all registrants will be sent the link to the recording and presentation at the end. And you'll have the flexibility to adjust the presentation screen, and you can find that expand button in the middle of your screen directly below the speaker boxes. Questions can be asked at any time via the chat function on the side of your screen, and we'll take them at the end of the presentation. All right, now introducing my experts for today, starting out with Tyler Franks, who is part of the SAP S4HANA Center of Excellence team and has worked with SAP for 8 years. Tyler, thanks for joining us today. We also have Darren Shaw, who is our VP of Technical Partnerships and has 3 decades of business transformation experience, and both are excited to talk to you today about the Rise with SAP offering. With that, I will pass it on.
Great, thank you, Miranda. Hi, team. As Miranda mentioned, my name is Tyler Franks. I'm part of the SAP S4HANA Center of Excellence, and Darren and I will be co-presenting today to talk through some of the current offerings from SAP with Rise from SAP, talk about some of the clean core strategy with data and the selective data transition approach with S&P. Quick background on the next slide, please, Miranda. As a software company, SAP is committed to providing our customers with the foundation to become an intelligent, sustainable enterprise. And part of this economic requirements in terms of transformation initiatives from our customers, we see a lot of drivers, for example, in the 26 different industries that we work with, where there's industry-specific requirements that could require an additional solution or additional modifications to a core application, in addition to requirements for digital transformation initiatives, adapting new business models, providing new services to your customers, gaining new insights into what your customers are buying and what their needs are. Environmental transformation initiatives, for example, sustainability, driving imperatives to meet ESG requirements globally, and having a foundation to retain, to be agile and to adapt to these economic and environmental standards with the ability to have a transformation, modernizing the technology to work in the cloud. And with this Rise with SAP offering, this is designed to help you transition your current SAP, ECC, or S4HANA on-premise installation to the cloud in a personal but guided way. And Rise is the foundation to help you on your journey to the cloud. And with this comes with a suite of cloud applications, infrastructure, and migration and adoption services. So just want to quickly give a little bit of background on what Rise is, what comes included, because this is sometimes missed when we provide these overviews. So cloud applications would include S4HANA, which is a modern intelligent cloud ERP that has the capabilities for new user experience, embedded analytic capabilities, improved integration, and improved across all of your functional lines of business, from financials, procurement, sales, supply chain management, providing a core to adapt your business to the changing needs of the industry, the changing needs of your organization. And then with a business technology platform, this provides the foundation for intelligent technologies like machine learning, AI, also integration capabilities, providing also a low code and no code application development, which we'll talk a little bit about how we can help you maintain a clean core by doing less customizations in the core and utilizing these included services to help continue to build upon your applications and your application extensions. And also Signavio, business process insights, business process intelligence, helping you understand the current processes performance within your technology landscape, understand where to transform, and recommendations on how to transform. So that's the applications. For infrastructure, all these applications are delivered with a single SLA and a hyperscaler of your choice with enhanced security and compliance features to ultimately provide built-in controls and monitoring to help you meet data and regulatory requirements with cybersecurity and 24/7 surveillance and security updates. And the last one is migration and adoption services. No, this is a mindset to take all these services that are based on proven tools and methodologies that SAP and our partners like S&P innovate and work together on these initiatives to provide a migration, which we'll talk about a bit later. Darren's going to shed some more light on this, to migrate, for example, your data from a legacy system into the modern SAP Intelligent Enterprise ERP platform, taking this RISE with SAP concept and putting it to use by leveraging our best practices and these additional services, all together with one application to help you meet the needs of what we call the intelligent enterprise. All right, next slide, please. Great. So just kind of highlight on this a bit. So in my experience, a lot of organizations are relying on IT to provide capabilities when your requirements are needed. So for example, on-premise customers often struggle with technical upgrades and functionality adoption. And this is due to customization to data, to processes, integrations, extensions, and ultimately the code of the core applications, which is sometimes this is necessary to meet your requirements to maximize your existing investment and maximize your existing portfolio. This can limit the ability to adopt new innovations and to take in new business outcomes. For example, when you make a customization, a recent example was a customer I was working with that created a customization for an order to cash process in an older ECC system that had many custom developments already into the core. So there's a custom application developed to handle an order to cash process that could be handled in standard SAP, but as they continued building more customizations for the application, for the reporting, ultimately got to a point where they had to post 6 different journal entries to reconcile and to tie the order to cash processes, each order to cash process together at period end. And also, with all these application customizations in the core, this creates significant technical debt, which can limit the ability to upgrade when a newer version of SAP or one of your partner solutions is released. And ultimately, this can lead to a restriction in the ability to adopt new innovations in your industry, in your current space, and where your customers are going. Providing new services, providing new capabilities. SAP and our partners are constantly working together to provide these capabilities to help you meet your business outcomes. And this is where we see these challenges where we're looking to ultimately provide an offering to accelerate your time to value with extensions that can be implemented on the fly without disrupting the core, and help reduce the lower total cost of ownership by taking a lot of the upgrades related to the coding and testing and providing a clean core that can help mitigate some of these issues and provide a streamlined path to continue to adopt future innovations. And with SAP's commitment to the cloud, this RISE program is in place to help our customers get to the cloud so that they can embrace the latest innovations. For example, in artificial intelligence and sustainability, SAP is continually adapting to the economic conditions and to the technology landscape globally to provide all these innovations throughout the platform. And SAP's core focus is providing these innovations in the core with this RISE offering. Okay, next slide, please.
Hey, Tyler, before you go on, I didn't want to stop you because you were on a roll, but are there any, like with anything, right, there's always misconceptions. Is there a kind of a fundamental or some sort of common misconception that you hear about RISE that you might want to just take a couple seconds to clarify or dismiss or dispel?
Yes, thank you, Darren. I just realized my camera had turned off, so apologies for that. Yeah, so in terms of common misconceptions for RISE, if you take your existing legacy ECC environment and move it into RISE, for example, taking a brownfield approach, does that mean you're going to automatically be able to maintain a clean core and automatically be able to adopt the innovations, use all the improved reporting, and be able to basically take your business to the next level just by taking in this new application stack? as much as I would like to say the answer is yes to that, there is a fair amount of business process reimagining and a fair amount of migrating the legacy data, for example, in selective data transfer with S&P. So there's several things that need to be done in order to optimize your system and to reimagine your business processes in order to take advantage of a lot of these capabilities and features that Darren and I are going to be talking about today. Thank you, Darren. So now talking a little bit about the clean core. And clean core is a concept that ERP strive to achieve since day one. Of course, over time, we grow through complexities and customizations that can ultimately limit this development and this capability. However, with this Rise with SAP offering and with this partnership with S&P and with SAP and our partners, we've developed a methodology to adopt this platform and also maintain a clean core, which provides benefits to your organization so you can always be compliant, always be make it easier to upgrade to a newer release without worrying about significant technical debt, for example. And one of the ways to get there, you can see there's multiple components here. In terms of software, if I'm oversimplifying the concept, keeping your software at its latest release, making sure your extensibility, your applications are not duplicating any standard SAP functionality, that your integrations are using the stable interfaces that are provided between SAP and our partners, only using integrations that have well-documented integration workflows, using processes that are leveraging SAP and our partners' best practices. There's best practice explorers and other options that we can provide to help optimize some of the core processes in your organization, and also provide improvements in terms of data quality and data migration. This is an area where S&P really shines in our partnership to help achieve this clean core. Having basically keeping your data clean is important to help improve your reporting and improve the migration to the system, so you can adopt the new features, adopt the new technologies, maintain a clean core, and be able to report on a trusted set of data. And I think,
Yeah, Howard, thank you. And so the circle around the data was a not so subtle transition into my piece of this, where my company S&P focuses on the data pillar of the clean core concept. And so again, you asked a basic question, right? So you've got the data clean core. Well, what does that mean to be data clean core compliant? So there's three primary areas, right? So number one, and this one's pretty obvious, is data quality, right? So you don't have duplication, so you maintain that uniqueness. It is timely. The data is accessible. It is accurate. It is consistent with regard to format and usage. Something as simple as hierarchy elements. If you're combining data from multiple instances, multiple systems, say if you've grown by acquisition, right? So harmonizing that data in a regulated fashion to make sure that field or element X means the same thing across the enterprise, and really that kind of leads to the very worn out but very, very true adage of garbage in, garbage out. Your analytics and your AI and advanced processes and elements such as digital thread are all at the end of the day based on the quality of the data that's in your system. Right. So think about you've got the highest end stereo system imaginable, and part of that is your turntable, and your stylus is 20 years old, and it's just destroying the records that you're putting on your turntable, right? So you may have $100,000 speakers, But if you have a lousy stylist, that then it's all for naught, right? So kind of same principle here. The other aspect is data volume. And what's happened over time is companies that have not embraced archiving have used their productive environment as their repository for history. And they also have kept data in their environments that may be outdated. A few business org changes later over a few decades, and you've got company codes, plans, other elements, master data that you haven't used in years, right? And so bringing over all that unused information is not necessarily the most efficient thing or effective thing that you can do. Everything that you bring over as part of your migration, you're going to have to test. And so to optimize memory and to eliminate the possibility of redundancies, bring over the data into production, into your new clean core, that is required. So, you don't necessarily have to bring over 50 years of history into your production environment in order to be compliant with regulatory requirements. You can take historical data and have that inaccessible, protected, but yet cost optimized other locations. You could put a history into SAP DataSphere, for example. So look at what you're bringing over into that, into your clean core. And then, of course, security, right? Privacy and data integrity and security with data at rest, data in motion, and data in use, right? That's standard. And the benefits you see on the far right are fairly elementary. However, a lot of companies will look at the data issues and then they'll stop in their tracks, particularly if they have not archived or really done much in terms of data governance for a number of years. This concept can be quite scary, particularly when they look at things that they feel that they need to do prior to moving to S4 Cloud. We can go to the next slide, please. Actually, before I go on, Tyler, did I say anything incorrect before we go forward?
Yeah, I think you're going to get to this, but just like to hear what are your thoughts on best practices that you see for keeping your data clean core compliant?
Well, excellent question, and I think one of the most simplest things to do is to not wave the victory flag after you've done a one-time cleanup. Being able to put tools in place and governance in place, either automated or by process, to make sure that on a regular basis you are analyzing and evaluating the state of your data. So not just at the project, but there are some applications you can use that will monitor on a constant basis. For example, we happen to have a housekeeping application that will look at the age of a particular document or transaction, and based upon statutory and regulatory requirements, can move that information out of production and into your compliant, accessible yet cost optimized location. Little things like that, as well as making sure that you've got discipline in place where people aren't just creating master data and company codes and other org elements willy-nilly. There's got to be some sort of checks and balances there. Hopefully, going forward, using AI to bounce off any requests against existing data points to make sure that you're not introducing junk back into the system. So simple things like that can actually do a world of good, because it's very easy years to get to the bad place that you were at before. When we talk about here, right, so the time and budgets are not on the side, or not on our sides, right? So with any well-intentioned program, we all know, we all can think back to when we implemented SAP 10, 15, 20, if you're like me, sadly 30 plus years ago. You know that well-being projects tend to shift to the right with analysis paralysis, over-planning, and the like. That certainly is the case in modern day SAP S4. When companies have to take a greenfield approach, and that is certainly viable for companies that have done nothing but technical upgrades over the past 2 or 3 decades, maybe you're running SAP on AS400, everything is just customized to the hilt. Greenfield is probably a logical way to go. However, there's a challenge with greenfield is that if you're overhauling every process and you have a wide variety of processes and a wide variety of locations and a wide variety of countries, you could be looking at a very long implementation timeline if you're doing everything all at once. Therefore, in terms of value realization, you could be looking at a long period of time. Now, there's 2 problems with that. Number one, there is the maintenance deadline, which we need to consider. 2027, if you have kept up with your enhancement packs, 2025, if you have not. That's the first thing. The second thing is the time that you are getting your processes optimized versus those of your potentially more agile, more digitally minded competitors, where they may already potentially have a jump on you, right? So one of the challenges with long-term greenfield, where you think, gee, I have to do everything in order to move, with RISE with SAP. Another approach people have taken is somewhat of a step-by-step linear sequential approach. So, for example, I want to move to S4 in the cloud, but I haven't done any of my pre-projects, so I need to do my new geo conversion. Then I'll do my business process, my business partner, conversion. And then I'll do my new asset upgrade, and then I will move to Unicode, and then I will look at the data I want to bring over, and then maybe I need to do an archiving, and then I can move to S4, and then maybe I'll figure out when to move to the cloud. That is an approach that a lot of highly conservative companies take, but now here are the issues. So let's say you've got 8 or 9 steps. That's to finally get you there. That's 8 or 9 kickoffs, 8 or 9 test cycles, 8 or 9 disruptions, 8 gaps in between those projects where anything and everything can distract you because there's some fire to fight. And now you're looking at a 4-year term where you've only gotten maybe halfway there. And the same issue applies where you're not getting the full benefits, the full value as fast as time possible. Option 3, which we promote highly, and the line in blue here is a rapid move to RISE, where instead, for example, of taking each of those steps, those 8 or 9 steps, in a linear sequential fashion, S&P has the capabilities to allow you to do all of those in one go live. Where you're doing your pre-projects, you are carving out selected data, you're doing the data cleanup, you may be harmonizing or consolidating 2 or 3 SAP systems that have grown via acquisition over the years. Archive that data to SAP DataSphere, or wherever it is that you specifically need to put it, and move to S4 in the cloud. That is a stuff that can be done in short order. I'll tell you how short of order in a few moments. What that means is you can make that move to S4, and if you have mission critical processes up front that you need to transform now versus waiting, finance tends to be a more common way. So you can pick and choose what you can digitize and transform in that very short go live period. You've now hit your compliance date, but you've beaten that by a long shot in terms of getting off of your legacy SAP system, and you started your digital transformation from a process standpoint. Maybe you haven't done all of it, but then after that go live, maybe next is supply chain, maybe next is manufacturing, maybe next is MRO. Whatever your particular pathway is based on what is most mission critical and most impactful for the value chain you offer to your customers. That's that rapid exercise upward in terms of value that you add not only for yourself but for your customer base. Miranda, if you can go to the next slide.
So Darren, just question on this. Can you tell us how S&P can help RISE customers moving to S4 successfully migrate their data into RISE, into their new S4 system?
Yeah, that the movement of data, that's kind of our bread and butter. Yes, we have mechanisms that allow you to do multiple projects in the one go live. I'd say probably tied with that in terms of why customers come to us is our ability to perform a deep analysis of your data, hierarchy data, master data, transactional data. Evaluate with you what is required, what must be moved into the new S4 environment, into production, and then what history can be archived elsewhere. We are able to carve out that data as simply, for example, by company code, or as complex by company code, sub-company code, time slice. Move that data completely into your target S4 cloud environment. The way that we ensure that is by built-in data verification tools, so that we take a snapshot of what you want to move, which means that's again, that's org elements, that's tables, not just standard tables but custom tables. Every line item, every field. Take a snapshot, monitor and track everything that goes from source to target. Take a snapshot of what ended up being in that target environment, and then doing an automated test and verification to make sure that everything moved over. And a lot of that is done by some basic tests to maybe board that are a bit more complex. For example, just running a balance sheet, right? So the balance sheet, if it's balanced in the source, it sure as heck better balance in that target environment. Now, that does not take the place of achieving full, say, FDA validation if you're a pharmaceutical company, but it can take days, and in fact, in some cases, weeks off of test cycles to make sure that the data that has to go in there is accurate and is, most importantly, complete. Right. Part of that, as I mentioned, this whole carving out of data is a concept that is promoted by SAP. SAP created a selective data transition group. We were the first ones to join that group some years back. Essentially, this is in support of that data pillar for Clean Core, where you are bringing over the data that is required, and you are performing transformation of those processes that are mission critical as part of that first initial move to S4. That what can be incorporated into that selected data transition can be restructuring. So it can be the consolidation of company codes. It can be the collapsing of cost center hierarchies, profit center hierarchies. It could be something as simple as renumbering master data. But that kind of cleanup for the future organization can all be done as a part of that selected data migration step, again, with that same integrity built into our software to ensure that you're not making critical misstatements or restatements of your financial data, and it keeps intact because we have tracked and traced everything so that the all critical operational cause equals financial effect equation remains intact. All the benefits you're seeing on the right hand side in terms of the core, reducing your HANA costs, and being able to just keep things nice and tidy going forward. Next slide, please.
Can you give us some examples of customers that migrated with SNP?
Yeah, and here are those examples, right, on this slide here. So they're saying, hey, 6 to 9 months, I'm not quite buying that, Darren. Well, here's some examples of that, right? Coles, and this one happened years ago. This was an example of within one go live. It is a carve out of the Coles business unit, and Coles went from being a business unit into a freestanding legal entity. So there was finance transformation, that had to be in place. Ongoing with this project was a parallel implementation of Ariba. All prerequisite tasks were done with a selective data migration and data cleansing. Moving to S/4HANA, in this case, it happened to be the Azure cloud, and actually 6 months is really more accurately, it was 5 months and about 3 weeks. Another example of Sigma Aldrich, where we carved out the chemical business of Sigma Aldrich and migrated that to S/4HANA in the cloud, and again, including all prerequisite projects. Creaton and ST Logistics are RISE projects that the two examples of RISE projects that S&P has taken on. Creaton happened to be 12-month project because there's a lot more process transformation that Creaton wanted to do, so it's a little bit longer. But we only brought over 5% of their existing data. Why? Because of clean out and for the taking that historical data and moving that to a more optimized, accessible location. In the case of ST Logistics, a 9-month RISE to SAP program, which also included document splitting at the business area and profit center levels, and also cutting the data footprint in half, and that's pre-movement, pre S4 compression. And we had many other examples of these proof points where you can move to S4 and not just have that be a brownfield, but can incorporate business process transformation, reorganization, data harmonization, data cleansing, the data carve out to add a lot more value than you would get out of any standard brownfield, but not the 3 or 4 years of doing a full-blown transform everything type of project. So I think with that, yes. So in terms of what I would, and I'm sure Tyler will have his own recommendation, but from SAP standpoint, again, we are a long time partner of SAP. Again, we are a partner on many RISE projects, many completed, many more ongoing. We regularly are useful up front when you want to understand what's underneath the hood of your car before you're taking that journey. Because not knowing what's underneath the hood of your car can make that journey real long if you break down somewhere within the process, or if you understand what's going on, we and SAP combined can help you carve out what that journey will look like, right? Your current deviation off of SAP standard or recommended best practices, the state of your custom code, the state of your data, and we can help you map out your journey and discuss with you the art of the possible based upon your corporate culture. What kind of change are you willing to withstand, and how big a chunks? What other projects are going on that might accelerate or possibly slow down slightly your rise to SAP timeline? Obviously, there are myriad factors we can walk them through you, but the one thing to definitely take away is, let's not, don't assume that this is going to be a multi-year, very expensive, very painful process, because it absolutely doesn't have to be, given modern technology that is available through companies like S&P, and obviously the advances that SAP themselves have made in their own tool sets and their own solutions. Tyler, what would you suggest are some immediate next steps?
Yeah, Darren, I agree. I like this approach and thinking about looking at your existing system, optimizing your processes, and in the state of migrating over into an S4 environment, what would that look like? Just looking from that last slide as an example, working with S&P to make sure that we're selectively migrating your appropriate data over to the new system. You can maximize your investment, have a lower total cost of ownership, and working with S&P and SAP together, we can help you reimagine your business processes, map out the benefits that are relevant to your organization, and help you achieve your goals in this transformation.
Great, gentlemen. Thank you so much for a very engaging dialogue. To be mindful of time, we will follow up with questions via email. I know we covered a lot of information in the 30-40 short minutes, so don't worry, we'll be sending you the link to the recording as well as the PowerPoint and other resources to peruse at your convenience, such as blog posts and customer success stories. So with that, I'd like to thank the audience and our speakers for today. I really appreciate your time and wishing everyone a happy quarter end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you so much.